All right, here we are.
Yeah. CJ Ortiz, Metal Motivator.
Man, it's good to be here. Great little beginner's course today.
Yeah.
Again, that's such a relative term with you, Mac.
Yeah, it is. Because when do I have beginners? I mean, I ran a beginner course. You were in it. You were
Yeah.
the only beginner I've ever had. I've had masterclass IPSC shooters, man. I've had this guy.
Right.
Yeah, so
Well, then you're definitely slumming at the bottom of the barrel if you got this guy in your class.
Yep. So yeah, they're
Well,
fun.
that's the thing is it's the irony of having a beginner's class and then Chris Costa shows up. Chris Costa, what in the world are you doing here at a Pat Mac beginner's pistol class?
I have wanted to get to one of Pat's class for years, and the way the schedule worked out, because we do our schedule so early, by the time I see everybody else's schedule come out, it's like, man, I can't take classes because I've got classes scheduled for those weeks. So when I saw the opening in the schedule, I was excited. I called you. You said it's a beginner class, and I was like, I don't really care what it is. I just want to see and shoot, and also, the other side of it is watch the way somebody teaches
Right.
and interacts, and watch the way the student learns. Because if you're really in this job for the right thing, you're there for the development of the student, regardless of whatever your ego is. And I really enjoy that aspect of people feel comfortable here.
Yep.
You really do. You can see, and even though they're making mistakes, which we all make mistakes, I've made mistakes today. It's just I almost wonder, because your personality, everybody knows your personality is so strong and dominated. This is the softest I think I've seen you.
Yeah.
Is actually on the gun range
Right.
teaching.
Well,
And
I
it's a
think you
different-
have to be. You
Yeah.
have to be. I don't want to go all freaking, Pat Mac show on him. Get you some, gas it up and burn it down. I need to freaking make sure that I'm conveying.
But I
this
think
and
people
that.
almost think that's the way it's going to be. And
Right.
today, what you saw a man who cares about you, taking time, not getting too wrapped around, this technique or that technique. And I saw how far guys came along from this morning.
Yeah. And good point on Chris made about that cross-pollination. I want to do that so bad. Like next year, I want to plan to take
yeah.
courses, because what I'm going to learn, we're all teaching the same shit, but how do you deliver it? What's your style? What's your training methodology? So those things, I love to see that, because it's an art form. Running a line is an art form. It takes a long time to get looked. And I asked Chris, I said, hey, bro, are you omnipotent on the range? Do you hear and see everything? He said, oh, yeah. And you said something about, not seating an AR mag. You could hear that, when somebody does a mag. Yep, 100%. So it's cool talking to somebody else who has been doing this for a long freaking time, and is very well known in the gun industry. And for those of you who don't know, I was boasting about Chris last night when he met some of the pub peeps about he's probably the most famous gun guy in the world. I mean, Larry Vickers, of course, he's a very
Pat
famous.
Rogers.
Yeah, right.
There's a whole slew of other instructors that are out there, great instructors. Kyle DeFore, Mike Pannone.
But I'm talking world freaking known, world known, gun guys. So it's cool having him out here, bro.
Oh yeah. So where do you guys see things going for this? I mean, you train a skill disparity, which is obviously seen today in a class like this, but that post COVID, during COVID, the gun purchases went up astronomically, ammo, all that sort of thing. So you got a lot of people out there who don't really know what they bought, right?
Yes.
So where do you guys see yourself? You feel like it's going to be more important for you to focus on the better shooters or the masses?
Go ahead if you want to field that first.
So I'll field, I guess, part of it. I think you have a lot of concerned citizens right now that, as we've seen with the defund the police movement, nowadays you have terrorism that has been, Sacramento, California, New Jersey, Massachusetts. There's a street fight going on with two terrorists running amok. You have active shooter scenarios. You have your normal gang violence, your normal criminal violence. So the world has definitely become a more dangerous place. And then as you start to pull the police out of it, citizens are getting concerned. They're very concerned about what's going on and transpiring. And as they start this and embark in on this, they're starting to realize that they're their own quick reaction force. They're their own special agent in charge of their own detail, right? Like you've mentioned numerous times. And they're the ones that are responsible for their families. And first and foremost, what I explain to all my students is 50 meters and in, you are a protector. 50 meters and out is optional. That's rescue. But at least 50 meters and in, you need to own that territory for your family, for the lives that are there, because that's what you're doing. You're not taking lives, you're saving lives. So I think people now are trying to get that training because they realize, you go to the DMV, you got to take a test and you got to do a driver's test, and then you're allowed to drive your car. And here, it's just like, here's your firearm, you're good to go. And you're just like, I don't even know what I do with this thing.
Right.
So, and the second part of that question, another with the new shooters, my objective is to make them number one, to make them understand that just because they have that gun doesn't mean they're armed.
Right.
The mind is the final weapon. All else is supplemental. They're not armed. They're not. They don't know how to use it. So I want to make them as competent as possible, and keep stressing the fact that hey, they need to be able to fire with impunity. Yeah. So we need to be accountable for every round freaking shot. Fire with impunity. So I run, it's pretty slow pace. I mean, especially this course because these guys aren't seasoned at all. So I'm really watching the cadence, the tempo, the time, the amount of round expenditure, all that stuff. But I really need them to be competent and safe gun handlers.
And if nothing else, no limitations. I can do this or I can't do that.
Yep.
Right? And know where that falls, and that's okay. I think a lot of times we all want to, achieve greatness overnight, but it reminds me of skydiving. The only way I got better was getting back on the bird and doing another jump. And it didn't matter what happened last jump. It's a new jump right now. And I like what you said today about, make that failure as small as possible.
Right.
Choke up that window on that so it doesn't carry over into the next thing.